Oh, my bad.
Hey, everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and SKOL. We've gathered again another day to talk about who will be king, your NFC North roundup show. In a world where the gridiron reigns supreme, welcome to this episode of Who Will Be King. Brought to you by the Fans First Sports Network. This is your definitive guide to everything NFC North. In the bustling, windy city of Chicago, we have Penei, our charismatic host from the Bear Claw podcast. He'll be breaking down the intricate details of the Chicago Bears' newly unveiled schedule. Venturing further east to the industrial heartland of Detroit, we find June and Foster, the dynamic duo of Bleachers to Speakers. They will be dissecting the Lions' strategic game plan towards their new schedule. Venturing back west into the land of lakes and the frosty wilderness of Minnesota, where the Vikings are going to be put into the limelight, Dave from Vikings First and SKOL, that's me, will be analyzing their tactical needs to win in what Sharp Football calls the fourth hardest schedule in the league. And across our journey, the man in the middle, the omnipresent admiration for the Green Bay Packers from the NFL front office, will be a simmering topic of discussion. Why? We'll show you on their schedule. Then back to the city of Detroit, where the roar of the motor industry meets the roar of the crowd. History was made. The Lions have awarded Jared Goff a monumental contract extension. This means a colossal investment of approximately $444 million was made this spring to three players. Penei Sewel, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jared Goff himself. We'll dive into the details of Goff's earth-shattering four-year, $212 million contract extension, which includes an unprecedented $170 million guaranteed and a record-breaking $73 million signing bonus. Whoa. So in a world where each move can make or break a season, tune in, engage, and join the conversation as we ask, who will be king? Let the battles begin. Hey, everybody, it's Dave here once again from Vikings First and SKOL, and I wish to introduce to you, if this is the first time you're watching, the hosts from around the NFC North. Starting on the viewer's left, all the way in that direction, we have Penei, representing the Bear Claw podcast. How are things with you today, Penei?
Just rosy. Well, maybe not rosy. Let's just say just orangey. Bears orange. We're liking how the arrows are pointing. They're pointing up. You'll hear about it soon enough.
Yep. And in the middle, I have the dynamic duo, and we'll start on the left with June from Bleachers to Speakers. How's everything in Detroit, June?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Everything is great, man. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Foster, how are you doing? You're repping your Pistons today. How is your basketball team doing?
And Packers yellow. He's representing Packers yellow.
The basketball team is a casualty of the lottery, doing us dirty again. So not much going.
Oh, hey,
you said what?
I got on my Bulls hat, so
yeah. See,
the Timber Puppies started out great, but they've hit a brick wall. It looks like a golden one, but we'll find out. Hopefully, they can pull out a win tonight or tomorrow, whenever the next game is. Now, a lot of things have happened in this last week with the NFC North. I want to start, before we get into the schedules, with one in particular. Which one of you fine gentlemen wish to discuss why the Detroit Lions gave Jared Goff such a huge contract extension for a quarterback that's probably ranked between 8th and 12th in the league, maybe?
Well, I guess you can say that. I mean, when it's all said and done, he's done things that no other quarterback has done in the post-championship era as a Lions quarterback. He's a proven winner. He's proven that he can get to the big game. He's done a lot more than some of the other high-paid quarterbacks in the league, such as like
Kirk Cousins,
Herbert, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. These guys have won nothing at the next level. Not Deshaun Jackson. What's his name?
Deshaun Watson?
Watson.
No, I'm thinking Jackson. The Ravens. Lamar Jackson. I mean, what has he done? Like,
he's won an MVP.
Couple of MVPs.
He's won a couple of MVPs, but has he won anything? I'm talking about games. Like, but anyway,
he's got to the championship, I believe.
I think. Has he been to a Super Bowl?
No.
Goff essentially has been to 2, by the way. But I mean, he kind of put them in a situation where we couldn't not pay him. We don't have any options in any other direction. And if he continues at the trajectory that he's on, going from a shaky first year, winning season the next, essentially ending up in the Super Bowl, nothing that he did wrong for us to not get there. I mean, he kind of put us in a position to where it only made sense to pay him. We paid Sewell, we paid Brown, somebody to protect him and somebody to be his target. He's been heavily advocated for by both of those players, and the fan base is kind of behind him. I mean, you hear Jared Goff chants at random Tigers games, so the city's behind him, and he's put us in a position that we haven't been to since we won a championship in 1960, whatever it was. So that's the logic behind it, and it's a win now situation. We're definitely putting all the chips down on him getting the job done. And as far as the ranking system of who the better quarterbacks, I mean, I guess we can say, like I said, guys that are younger than him and still have the potential to do more, but it's all just potential until you get the job done. He went to a Super Bowl, his second year in the league or something like that. So
I don't disagree with that.
But yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
June, what it looked like to me is you're doing what the Minnesota Vikings did with Kirk Cousins. You're investing a boatload of money in your quarterback right now. Next year, he'll take up approximately 20% of the cap. Roughly, if it's on average, we don't know the exact what he's going to get paid, but roughly 20% of the cap. Teams generally do not win when their quarterback's making more than 15%. It is rare. It's only happened, I think, once. There's like Foster said, you have 3 key players locked in right now for the near future. This is obviously a near-term thing. Are you worried about the long term, however? when other players are coming up and suddenly going to want extensions and there's no money?
I mean, there's always a concern when you put whenever. I mean, and that's just not the buck. Just doesn't stop here at the Lions franchises. Is whenever you sign uh, your quarterback and other players to blockbuster deals like that. That's something that you have to worry about. And I may not totally agree with what Goff was given, but he's fought for everything he's gotten these past 2 years. He's made it very difficult for the organization to say no, you don't deserve this. So um, he's passed for 4,000 yards, over 4,000 yards the past 2 years. Was generally had him in the one game away from the Super Bowl. So I guess the reward is to show our faith as an organization and give you what you asked for. So, although I may not agree, but but I understand.
I think it's. I mean, it's definitely. I feel like we're not in a position to be like, oh, we got to worry about like this is a franchise that spent decades doing nothing. So to worry about what's going to happen 4 or 5 years from now is kind of pointless because we've been through the ringer with all types of high draft picks and quarterbacks, and we had
Paid a lot of
Stafford here.
paid a lot of
Stafford
money
being
for a
big
lot.
one. Mhm.
Yeah, paid a lot of
Right.
money for a
So,
lot of us, and it's win now. So it's like
and I think the only person. My bad. Go ahead. My bad.
no, I cut your wisdom. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, well, I was gonna say the only person that is yet to be paid that's like really a true pillar that we're gonna have to get out the way is Hutch. Other than that, you got some top end players as far as our roster, like a Laporta, a um, a Gibbs. A lot of these guys are making, Brian Brand. We got a lot of guys that are making like rookie and we can't keep everybody. Essentially, it's one of those things. There's a reason why Tyreek Hill plays for the Dolphins now and not for the Chiefs. It's because you got to make executive decisions as far as what do you want to prioritize. Because we may lose a Lee McNeil. We might lose I don't know. You can't keep everybody. Everybody can't make max end money. So that's why you continue to retool the draft and you don't mortgage your future on, being frantic and trading for an edge rusher in the middle of the year thinking, oh, well, we need to do this now. Otherwise, we won't make it to the Super Bowl. Like, that's why Brad Holmes, when everybody was like, they need to make a move now and get an edge rusher. That's why Brad Holmes thought about that because he already knew he was going to pay Goff. He was going to have to pay Brown, Sewell. These are top 5 players at their position. Sewell, for all intents and purposes, is the best offensive lineman in the league. Brown is a Pro Bowler, All Pro, and Goff has taken us to. I've already said it enough. It's taken us to places that we would have never anticipated that he could do, but he did.
Well, we're happy for you, I think. Pei, what did you think of the Lions giving
Yeah, what you got to say,
Goff
Pei, man?
all
Get it.
that money?
Why do you think I got something negative to say? B. What's up with that, man?
I felt like I felt that before, but go ahead.
It's on the way.
Well, I mean,
Look at this.
Minor clarification. It was 1957, the last time you won the championship.
Not even 60. 50.
Yes. You said one thing that I heard in that soliloquy that before it got to me was Dave pointing out that you won't be winning. Obviously, if you're paying the quarterback who may be somewhere in the top 15, right? Is that fair? If you're paying him that much of your cap, it's a recipe for what did you say? Recipe for not winning anything? Like a Lamar Jackson, maybe? The guy with two MVPs, maybe not.
Yes, don't say Super Bowl. Say
Yeah.
MVPs, which mean nothing. They literally mean nothing if you do what you did last year.
I would
The team-
argue that you're misusing the word literally.
They
I
don't.
would
They
argue
don't mean anything.
they have some meaning. Yes, it's an MVP. You only get one of those a year. So I like you said, Lamar Jackson and some others, they haven't won. Those guys that you rank higher than Goff. And thanks to Dave, if it's only happened one time that you're paying a quarterback this much of your cap, you're going to be just like Lamar Jackson, winning nothing this year.
Well, no, this year he's still on.
Yeah,
his old
clarify
contract.
that.
He's still on his old
okay.
contract.
My
It's
fault,
not
my
hitting.
fault.
It won't hit till next year, in
Well,
2025.
Next year.
How much have you been paying those Bears quarterbacks over the years, there, pal?
I'm glad nothing.
Yeah, not much.
They've been on rookie contracts and they stink, and they get rid of another.
Yeah. That's a good recipe. Now that is a great recipe.
And
Yeah.
Or draft Patrick Mahomes when you have the chance. We could do that, but Bears are up to bear sometimes.
Well, speaking of which, did you see the story? This is off script about how Justin Fields supposedly is trying to watch the entire field. His eyes are going back and forth, and blah, 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 and he doesn't catch anything. He doesn't see it because he's constantly trying to gather it in.
No, I haven't read this story, but the way that you're phrasing it, it does sound like something I had picked up on in this not this past season, but the season before last. He's got running back eyes. He sees the field incredibly well when he's running the ball. I've seen him in person 3 times, I believe. And when he just takes off, he sees the hole well before anybody else. Now, as a passer, his judgment or his discernment rather could be a little better. So if you're saying that his eyes are, when he's taking in the whole field as a passer, it's they're illuminated because it's like, wow, it's a lot to take in. It would not shock me.
Well, it's not that they're illuminated and it's a lot to take in, it's that they're constantly moving, and he's not narrowing in long enough to discern whether that corner or that safety is fainting or coming up or getting about ready to jump his route or whatever it is. And he misses those key details because he's constantly. And it makes sense. As a running back, you want that because you're constantly looking for holes. You're looking for light coming through that you could squeeze through.
That's been a knock on Justin his whole career. At least I've said it as long as I've had a mic in front of me. I've been saying it about Justin for the longest. He's fantastic kid, fantastic athlete, can make a lot of splash plays, has a great ceiling. However, that one thing that's holding him back, he doesn't anticipate the play well. It takes a while for him to see the man open, and he doesn't just, he doesn't understand NFL open versus Big Ten open. When he played for Ohio State, he lit it up because there's 30 yards in between his receiver and the nearest defender.
Mm-hmm.
NFL, you got you're lucky with 3.
Yep, gotcha. Okay. Well, we're going to watch this win now movement in Detroit this season and watch in 2025 when we're going for this free agent. And it's like, we can't afford him. Sorry. But we'll find out. It's going to be interesting. And when you get to that point, you can come cry on my shoulders. I've been there for the last 6 years. As we've got Miss Sarah in the chat, and she can attest to that. Now, I'm going to switch screens real quick. And we're going to go to this. We're going to start talking about the schedules. Look who I have up already. Pei, what do you think of your schedule since it released yesterday? And we have it up so the viewers can see it. In the light gray, we have all the interdivision games because they're the most important.
Uh-huh. And thank you for highlighting those because that is the number one thing that jumps off the screen. We don't play a division opponent until week 11, right before the macaroni and cheese gets to start. We start shopping for the macaroni and cheese ingredients. We don't see anybody in the division. So that is curious. That is, it's, in fact, I wouldn't even call it curious. It's odd. How do you go 2 months, 2.5 months before you see anybody? Other than that, the Bears got 3 and 2 possible primetime games. The 3 are the obvious: the 7:20, the 8:30. Well, no, the 7:20 Texans Sunday Night Football. We got the Vikings Monday Night Football and Seahawks Thursday Night Football. Why are we playing Seattle on Thursday? I don't know why, but the 2 possible, obviously, we have the London game right before we go on our bye week in week 6, and we have the Lions and for Thanksgiving.
You're welcome.
Well, I don't. Let's hold that off. Let's hold that off. That might not. There might be much thanks to give on that day of thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's about as fair. So we got 5 prominent games, 5 that we will be center stage, so to speak. That's about as what you would expect as for a team that is bringing in a lightning rod at quarterback, the number 1 draft pick, Caleb Williams. 5 games, 5 games being prominent. That's about expected. The games that I am highlighting now that they've gave me times and channels, basically. The December 8th game with the 49ers. It's a bit of a green thumb, right? That's the one game within 6 weeks that's not a division opponent. So the Bears have their work cut out for them in the first 10 weeks. We got to go ahead and handle business because our season doesn't really start until November 17th. We got the whole division right there. We handle business like I think we can. Like I'm predicting that they will. It can be some things that happen. We can find our way backdoor our way into one of those wild card spots, possibly. Yeah, they really didn't do us any favors in on that front. Other than that, I told you all last week, I don't think the schedule is very difficult at all. If DraftKings and the rest of these sports books are still showing the Bears as at 8.5 win total,
We'll get there. I've got it.
Let's go.
Now, did you notice that starting in September, you have home game or the end of September, the Rams and the Panthers, and then, quote, you're hosting in London and the Jaguars. It's technically 3 home games, but it's 2 home games and an away. Then you're away then you have the bye week, away for the Commanders, away for the Cardinals. And then you have 3 home games in a row, Pats, Packers, and us. And then 3 away games in a row, and we'll find this theme somewhere else. Trust me, it's coming up with Lions, Niners, and the annual Monday Night Football game with the Vikings. So, looks interesting. You guys sitting over there, June Foster, do you see anything that you like on the Bears schedule?
I don't see anything.
Thanksgiving Day game?
I don't see anything I like on this schedule. I think the opportunity is there for the Bears to be successful in the beginning of the season with the Titans, Colts, Panthers, and Jaguars. I mean, that's a pretty favorable matchup for the Bears in those games, in my opinion, unless I'm missing something. So I think it's a great opportunity for them to rebound and be better than that 8.5 that he mentioned earlier. That's a great start. Other than that, looking at it, I think the division will be a tough task for us all. I think we all got our cut off battling each other more so than anything. I think we have a very, very competitive division this year. So just looking at that alone, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, I'm looking at the 49ers, which is a tough game there. I'm not concerned about the Commanders or the Cardinals or the Patriots. And it's a pretty favorable schedule. I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that string from the bye week up into the Packers ones. If you're gonna have 2 road games, I'll take at Washington and at Arizona, and then at home against the Patriots. Like, I don't think it gets any more cake as far as, I mean, of course, being home, but that's pretty.
That's a favorable.
nice.
I agree with you, Foster. I agree with you.
That's wild.
That's a favorable schedule there. No knock to just what it is. Like as far as opportunity, the table set for the Bears to be successful with this schedule here. I mean, they can come out on top. I mean,
They'll
with a
find a way
rookie.
to mess it up, but it's cool.
But the NFL, they legislate parity, so like you said, Foster. Only we can mess it up.
Okay, and speaking of messing it up, we have the Lions schedule up next. Foster, what do you see in your schedule?
I like the prime time first game against Stafford all over again. At home, that'll be fun and exciting to bring that energy back. It won't be as exciting as stuff to play all that, but so that's cool. I think we got a pretty rough road schedule though, because we got the Cowboys, we got the Texans, we got the 49ers. Those are pretty tough as far as road games. The Cowboys being definitely a revenge. We got a couple of revenge games. We got 49ers and the Cowboys are definitely revenge games.
The point.
Right, back in San Francisco. The Packers, so the last time we played the Packers was Thanksgiving. They spoiled our Thanksgiving. So that's another revenge game, I feel like. But yeah, those are the ones that really jump out at me. As far as the division, I feel like all those are going to be wars. I feel like the Vikings, that's all going to depend on the quarterback play, whether or not those are going to be tough games. But I mean, we didn't see Cousins. Did we see Cousins the first? No. We played the Vikings late in the season, so they played us. Right, they played us tough with backup the third or what was the guy's name? It wasn't Dobbs. I don't think we saw Dobbs.
If it wasn't Dobbs, it was Nick Mullins that almost threw over 400 yards and almost beat you. Yeah,
right. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So those were tough games as is, but I think
I mean, they were competitive. They wouldn't say almost.
They were. They were pretty. Yeah. So
they were competitive.
That's what
they were competitive.
I see on your schedule 5 primetime games, not including Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Is that the gray ones? No.
Prime times are the ones where the parentheses: Sunday night football, Monday night football, Sunday night football,
I see.
Thursday night football, Monday night football.
Yeah.
Are you guys used to playing in prime time? That seems a little odd.
No.
in a word, no. Thanksgiving.
Well, we understand Thanksgiving.
Well, not prime, but that's like everybody sees it.
Yeah, it's a new thing around here. It's something I can get used to it.
Pay, what do you see in their schedule?
Oh Lord.
The first thing that pops out to me is not only 5 primetime games, and I was mentioning this last week on the other FFS show that I do, the homies. There's 4 game of the week games as well. So that's 9 times the Lions are going to be featured to America. If you didn't get your fill of Dan Campbell and the Honolulu Blues when they was on Hard Knocks and last season, as they ran away with the division and up into the playoffs, into the championship game rather, you're going to get it this year.
Yeah.
America's backing you all. That's the first thing that pops off to my mind. Other than that, man, that stretch from week 4 to week 9, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be telling.
Yeah.
You got those 2 road divisional games. You got this. You got to go. You're going down to Jerry House. That's always going to be fun. You got to see the Seahawks on Monday Night Football.
That's always a tough game for
They play us
Seattle.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, yeah. You all have some of a history. So if you make it out of that one, make it out of that little stretch, feeling good. I mean, you have your bye week right in the middle of that. So
Right.
you should be okay as words for wealth. But if you can get into week 10 with that Sunday Night Football game against the Houston Texans, and you're holding on to the division lead, which I don't feel like I feel like you should. I feel like you all have a successful season. It might even build on the one you had last year. Was 11 wins last year?
I don't
Was it
even know.
11? Was it 12?
11 or 12, something like that. Yeah, that stretch, that little stretch in the beginning of the season. After that, I feel like you all have the division in your hand at that point.
We'll see, but that's a tough stretch. Other than the Titans,
Let me add, man, Texans are going to be really good.
mm-hmm. And you got them on Sunday night.
Yeah, they're going to be really good.
So Sarah says bye shouldn't start till week 9. You have it in week 5.
Can you do that? I mean, would that mathematically work? Where?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Some teams
too
have
many.
it early like that. They've always had it early sometimes.
Well, yes, yeah, but you got to because there can only be what 1 or 2 teams a week, right?
I think they have 4 or 6, could be. The only
There-
way they could
there's-
do it is say weeks.
Are there how many? Yeah, I don't. Are there a lot of people that have buys at one time? I don't even know.
Yeah, there's in the last few years, there's been 6 teams off at one time.
Yeah.
I just
That's
hate when we have them. It's like that break is just horrible for me, but good for
Watch.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've always been
Even when we were
proponent
bad, it's crazy.
that they should stick the buys in the middle of the season, and that you take half the league has 1 week off and the other half has the other week off, but you do some of your premium matchups during those 2 weeks so that you still bring the eyeballs to the screens, because you may have, San Francisco versus Dallas, right? Everybody's going to want to watch that. Or
Yes,
the
sir.
Chiefs and Buffalo. Those are the type games you schedule that way. And it could work, but that's not the way the NFL does it. So why should I get my hopes up? I've been
They got
advocating
the
that
they
for
got the
years.
money figured out and the concert schedules and all the stuff they got to
Yep.
play.
And that's
baseball.
That all plays into it.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us from that, the Lions schedule, to the Vikings schedule. And according to Sharp Football, it's the 4th toughest in the league. We finished 3rd, and we've got the 4th toughest, 3rd in the division, which blows my mind. We have our bye on week 6. As you can see, we start out on the road against the Giants, which I think is going to be hopefully a good start. I suspect we'll be playing against them. They'll probably be debuting their, what did they call it? Their commemorative red something. Their uniforms,
Century, right?
their
The
throwback
100,
uniforms from the 1930s.
The 100 penny jerseys.
Mm-hmm. And they are not at all attractive, in my opinion. But hey, that's the New York Giants. And then we have the Niners at our house. That's our season opener at home at US Bank. That's going to be a toughie.
Yeah.
And we don't know. Our quarterback situation's up in the air. We know J.J. McCarthy's eventually going to play. But the question is, when does that eventually hit? Could it be week 1? Yeah. Could it be after the bye on week 7 against the Lions? Yeah. Could it be later, maybe against the Bears in the end of November? We don't know. Going to have to find out. We then have the Texans, which is rough. So if you're a Vikings fans, you're going, all right, Giants, we can win that one. Niners, Texans, and then we have Green Bay at noon up in Green Bay in September. And we're like, yes, where it's going to be warm. We don't have to deal with the weather. And that's always something that we look for. I'm sure you guys do too. What's your weather games? So, and then of course we have the Jets on my birthday over in London. I forgot to put that's the London game. It starts at 8:30 in the morning. We only have 2 primetime games this year. We have a Thursday nighter against the Rams in October, end of October, and we have the annual Monday nighter against the Bears, where we host this time in middle of December. Now, the big deal about the Vikings schedule that I noticed, and Sarah's calling it rigged, is that there's a spot in there where we are starting 10 November. We're at the Jaguars, and then 17 November at the Titans, then 24 November at the Bears, 3 road games. Then we come back and we have 3 home games, Cardinals, Falcons, Bears. And it's that 3-3 that's interesting. But we aren't the only one. Obviously, you guys had that pop up on yours too. That they're doing, I don't know if I've ever seen where it's 3 away, 3 home, where it's matched up that way. And then it's only rarely that you get 3 in any one direction. So, but it's an interesting setup by the computers at the NFL front office and the people that put their thumb on the scale when deciding those. Is there anything interesting that you see about this? We play you in November and December. We don't see you in the early part of the season.
Interesting. Let's. The thing that interested me the most was when you brought out the schedule. You said mathematically this is the 4th toughest, and I'm going through, and usually when they say, all the time when they rank schedules from toughest to easiest, it's about last year's winning percentage, right? And I'm going through the names here, which isn't too different from the names that we saw in the other 2 teams' schedule, because we all play the same AFC South. We all will play, we'll play opponents across the conference. So it's not too different. But I'm looking at it, and I see 1, 2, 3 teams that finish with less than 7 wins on the schedule. That's the Cardinals, the Jets, and I think the Jaguars, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, everybody else was 7 and better, but not that much better. Because I think the 49ers, I'm sorry, the Giants. That's the team I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. The 49ers, the Texans, and the not the Packers, but the Lions are the only 3 teams on your schedule that finished with double-digit wins. So, well, I mean,
it's sharp. It's not the winning percentage. The winning percentage we rank, we're in the middle. It's 502. The opponents have a 0.502 winning percentage versus us, and we're in the middle. We're like 12th.
Okay. But all right. So that makes better
football. Sense. He has it because he figures it out differently. He figures it out whether it's on the road, who's the quarterback, how the team's looking, because last year the Colts, they lost their quarterback early. So he's going to be back healthy. So they expect Anthony Richardson to be better and the team to be better. He's looking at things like that when he's computing it. And I could go there as a fan and go, well, I can win against the Giants if I'm using my brain, right? Not my heart. I could sit there and go, we should beat the Giants. 49ers should be a loss. Texans should be a loss. Packers most likely will be a loss. Jets, it all depends how Aaron Rodgers is playing. if I have 2 wins by the bye, I'm going to be happy as a fan. I think we're doing successful. And that's with Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy playing. We don't know because that's hard. Now, can we steal that one in with the Packers? You bet you we can, and I want to, especially since it's up there early, and we usually beat them in the early games because they usually suck. One of the things is they usually suck in the first half of the season. So I'm looking forward to that. And then our best before the bye is 3-2. And then we hit the Lions, which our games were close last year, but they're the defending conference champs. And I don't think they got worse. I think every team in this conference got better. Absolutely. Then we have the Rams. They're no pushovers. The Colts with Anthony Richardson should be back. That should be decent. The Jags, they're healthy. They've got a quarterback. That's maybe 50-50. Titans, okay, I'll take that one as a win. Then we get the Bears. Okay? And the Bears game,
get out of here.
It could go either way. I mean,
Hell for the Bears, right?
The only thing I worry about the Bears is the Bears front office and coaching staff. Can they put that talent together into a winning program? And Caleb Williams, is he going to make the adjustment to the pros smoothly and, stand out? He may have problems. Rookies have problems. I know that. J.J. McCarthy, once he gets in, may have problems. We all know that, and that can happen. So I don't know. Then we play the Cardinals. Should be a win. Falcons, that's going to be the game of the year. I hope that one gets flexed. It may not, but I can't wait to that one. I want so much for the Vikings to beat Kirk Cousins, and I hope he's playing then.
Right. It might be Penix out.
Yep. And then we have the Bears again, Monday Night Football. Now, Monday Night Football's at our house. We always have problems at their house. It's going to be interesting. So I suspect if we split the division, go 1-1 on each team, we'll have had a successful season. I don't see us sweeping anybody within the division. Then we go out to the Seahawks. They should be, halfway, coin flip, either way. Then we got the Packers. They're good at the end of the year usually. That's going to be interesting, but it's at our house this time. And then we go on the road and finish with the Lions, hopefully for the division, if all goes well. But I can't logically see us with 10+ wins. It would have to be something special. And that's not easy. I mean, we play a lot of quality teams with a lot of quality quarterbacks. And that's when I look at a game, when I'm doing my pre-games and I'm looking at a game, the first thing I always look at is the quarterbacks. I know it's antiquated. Quarterback doesn't play the other quarterback, but I'm looking at who's the better quarterback. And generally, it's over 80% of the time, the team with the best quarterback wins. Doesn't matter about all the other stats. Throw out the defense, throw out the special teams. It doesn't matter. The one with the best quarterback wins over 80% of the time. And there's a lot of good quarterbacks we play. So that's why I think Sharp may see that and say that's one of the reasons why it's tough. June, do you see anything on Viking schedule other than that Week 18 game?
I was just trying to grasp why it's considered the fourth toughest schedule. I mean, it's not a bad schedule.
The away games, maybe. I don't know how Sharp does his stuff. He obviously does it not by winning percentage. I think that's just one factor.
Yeah, I think versus the Giants as an opening game, I know that's away, but still, it's the Giants. 49ers is going to be a tough game, and Texans, and of course the Packers. We don't know what we're going to get with the Jets. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers he should be back by then.
It's early. It's early enough for him. Nah, I mean they tried to almost get him back at the end. Well, they rumored that he would try to come back at the end of last year, but he'll be ready. Yeah. And it's early enough in the year to where
Yeah, but I've been squawking for years. Aaron Rodgers is washed.
Yeah.
The only thing that motivated Aaron Rodgers was the fact that they drafted Jordan Love. And then he had a couple
He might
good
be
seasons.
washed, but their defense is so good. They're literally, and they have weapons. Realistically, they're literally a quarterback away from being really, really good.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here looking like the middle of the season.
Thanks, sir.
I mean, like after week 7, you got Colts, Jaguars, Titans in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bears. Then you have the Cardinals. It's
at home.
yeah.
Then we start the 3-game home stretch there. So
I think the biggest challenge is within the division. That's just my opinion when it comes to this schedule. So
and the beginning of the year, the 49ers, Texans,
Packers,
at the
Jets,
Packers,
Lions,
and the Jets.
Rams.
That's the one.
yeah,
Colts.
It's just like at round after week 7, it kind of like it's I don't know.
So
we'll see. You never know. You just never know.
You don't. There's injuries that play into it, and teams that were 13-4 last year could be 4-13 this year, and vice versa. It happens every year.
And then the Vikings have their quarterback situation. I mean, to go into the season with a relatively unknown quarterback situation, I can see why it could be considered a tougher schedule than it would if you had a solidified starter or a proven starter at that position. So it remains to be seen. It's I mean, you can look at it and just say, hey, these are winnable games.
I just looked at the amount of miles you have to travel for your
it's like 8th most, 9,000 some odd miles, some shit like that.
No, it's in the bottom half, third least in the division. The Vikings travel 19,000 miles. The most is the Chargers with 26,000. So
they're
LA.
left coast team. They always have to travel. Half their games they have to travel. But it's different, and we didn't travel that much last year either. So it's different for us. And then the one thing you'll notice is all those noon games. We're not used to all those noon games. It was Kirk Cousins' favorite time to play football, but we're not used to all those noon games. And a lot of fans are going to be happy that they know turn on the TV at noon.
Oh, noon for you.
11 o'clock. Noon for us, yeah.
It's
all time
Midwest,
Central.
Man.
The only
Central.
schedule that had it in Eastern was yours.
That's a nice stray to old Kirk. I like that. I picked up on that, Dave.
Well, from there, we're going to go to the Green Bay Packers because we are discussing the entire NFC North.
I forgot about them. That's crazy.
Okay. They open up in Brazil.
What the fuck?
They can stay.
They can stay down there. I agree. And they pretty much play everybody. The first division game is against us up there on end of September. And then they have Rams, Cardinals, Texans, Jaguars, Lions week 9. Then they have their bye week. Then they have the Bears after the bye week. Then they have the Niners, Dolphins on Thanksgiving. They have the night game on Thanksgiving against the Dolphins. It is in Green Bay, so they're hoping the weather is crap and Tua can't play in the snow, but it's Thanksgiving. It could be nice. Who knows? And then they follow up. Thanksgiving's on a Thursday, at least as I remember it throughout my life. Then they follow up with the Lions on Thursday night. So they have a week off. It's not the mini bye. They have a week off with the Lions. And then they have their next game the following Sunday night. So there's their mini bye. And then the next week, they get the extra day for a Monday nighter. And then they come to the Vikings the following week. They finish up against the Bears. hosting the Bears. And hopefully the Bears will be those last games, whether it be the Vikings against the Lions or the Packers against the Bears. It's going to be interesting when it comes down to who finishes the division. But you'll look at this schedule and you will not find any 3-in-a-row games whatsoever. None.
What I saw that was interesting. This is the first time I've seen the Packers schedule because I try to keep all things Green Bay out of my life.
It's good for your mental health doing that.
Yeah, you would not. I cannot explain to you how much it is. But one of the things that irritate me about the Packers, well, not necessarily the Packers, but the NFL's media partners, is they shove them down your throat. Pause. They every time the game of the week, the Fox kickoff at 4:25. It's got to be. It's either Dallas or Green Bay. I'm like, man, nobody wants to see that. And so I'm looking at the schedule and going week by week by week, and I'm like, oh, okay. A lot of known kickoffs. I don't have to, be forced to watch them. And then the bye week happens, and then as you eloquently said, Dave, they are boom, 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 week after week after week. Right there, prime TV slots. Why?
And they usually start out slow. Now, however, they got a prime TV slot to start the season, but then noon, and then another game of the week with the Rams, and then noon, and then a game of the week with the Lions, and then a noon one with the Bears, and then it's game of the week, prime time. And you ask me why? I say it's because the NFL front office has a love affair with the Green Bay Packers. They're one of the charmed teams in the league. Absolutely charmed teams. They tend to get their way, and they tend to get the massaged schedules. Who's heard a Packers fan whining about, we got to go 3 games on the road, this is wrong? I haven't. I don't think I've ever seen in one of their schedules where they do it that way.
Sick of this team.
But compared to the other 3 teams in the division, that's the smoothest schedule of all of them. And
you think so?
Yeah. And then it puts everybody, and it puts them in the prime time games at the end of the season when they could be featured, when generally they're halfway decent, unless they have, Aaron Rodgers run into a bar or something like a few years ago. Now they play some tough teams. I mean, the entire division plays basically the same teams.
I'd like to chime in on this though. So they have an interesting wrinkle of the Eagles and Dolphins. Nobody else plays the Eagles and Dolphins, right?
Right.
So they got that going on, and then that stretch of between they get Lions, a bit of bye week, but that stretch of at the Bears, Niners, Dolphins, at Detroit, and then the Seahawks. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a tough one. I mean, okay, so is that at Green Bay? Okay, that's at Miami. I feel like the fact that they got to play the Eagles and Dolphins. Do we have teams on our schedule that are comparable to that?
Well, you should have better teams because that's the ones that go by position. Let's bring up your schedule real quick.
Because we play the Niners, but they play the Niners too, right?
Yeah, all of us play the Niners.
Right. So those outlier teams that we play, I feel like we play the Cowboys.
Bills and Cowboys.
Bills. You don't know.
Buccaneers.
But I feel like the Buccaneers, okay, cool. We beat them twice, so not sweating that.
They won their division, though.
The awful division.
That awful division, yes.
Yeah.
Division winners play other division winners the next season.
Mm-hmm. But that's different. Now, there is somebody that wants to comment on the Packers schedule.
Uh-oh.
One of the greatest presidents that ever lived, Mr. Abraham Lincoln. And it came from the internet, so it's true.
Yeah, I can't.
It is an Illinois credo. Those three words. The Packers blow.
Now, we talked about number of games. I looked up today on Vegas Insider, which carries all the major casinos and books, to look at total wins odds. And as of today, this morning, with the schedules figured in, this is how they perceive the NFC North. June, do you like being on top?
Hey. Yeah.
Hey, yo.
You guys think you'd get 10.5 wins?
I believe so. I believe that's around what I like to see, 11. So I'm hoping 11 or better.
You agree, Foster?
Yeah, we improved in every facet of the game. Our secondary is going to be very improved. Our offense was already top 5, and there's 2 teams that have questions at quarterback at the bottom of it that didn't really have those questions going into the year. I mean, the Packers probably had the biggest question, but going into who was it? Justin Fields. Justin Fields was kind of a question, but moral of the story: we don't really have any major weaknesses that I can think of. You can maybe say the opposite edge rusher position to Hutch, but you greatly improve your secondary and you improve your pass rush just automatically. So I feel really good going into training camp.
Now, Vegas thinks they love the Packers almost as much as New York does. They have them at 9.5 wins. And then comes the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams, brand new rookie starting quarterback, new shiny item. They figure 8.5, right at 500. Pay, do you agree with 8.5?
8.5 is good money. It's respectable because for a team that won 7 games last year. So you're giving us you expect us to improve, which is, the gambler's respect. And we agree the Bears should be better this year, or less. There's going to be a lot of job openings. Check your ZipRecruiter. 8.5 is respectable. And I'm telling you right now, if it's not going to stay at 8.5 for long, so if you want to make some money, do what you got to do.
Okay. And they have Minnesota at 6.5. It's dropped, 1, because of the schedule, and 2, because there's confusion as to who's going to be quarterback. As Sarah put, we lost. We couldn't even lose 7 games last year when we had no QB. So when we had Dobbs and Mullins starting. So how they see us as only a 6.5 wins, I don't know. I think we can win more than that. If we become a 10-win team, I'd be shocked. But we're going to be close to that. We're going to be, what is it, 9-8?
How you feel about your defense?
It's improved. Hey, last year we did great with that defense with smoke and mirrors. And we've gotten better talent-wise this year. And that's what I wonder why Minnesota doesn't, or why Vegas thinks Minnesota has digressed. I've heard that's one of the big deals. Is
your quarterback
defense.
Your question at quarterback,
that's the big one, and then that's what's dragging it down.
That's everything.
Yeah, quarterbacks affect the line more than anything else.
Mhm.
If you have a question at the quarterback, you can expect um, a 2.5 point drop or influx just on that. The quarterback, it does definitely plays into a lot. Um, if JJ can get in, wrestle away that starting role in training camp, I expect that number to bump up 1 to
Okay.
7.5.
Think so?
I'd take it.
Yeah,
I'd-
Because you said yourself that a lot of the correlation of wins and losses goes into who has the best quarterbacks. Where do you rank JJ in the top 30 whatever quarterbacks? Like just off of just sheer just not knowing anything. It's got to be at
well, you could ask the same question about Caleb Williams.
the absolutely.
well,
Man,
what I would say.
but Caleb, he has a lot of weapons. So does JJ. But Caleb's a better quarterback than JJ by far, kind of.
Well, what I was saying is that because there's a question on, who breaks camp
Who
as
is even
QB1, right,
right?
in Minnesota,
Exactly.
that's pulling it down a little bit right there. So once that's definitive, I expect it to bump up maybe 1, maybe
That's fair.
yeah,
Well,
about
there's
seven
no
and a half.
question in
Yeah.
Chicago.
You
Everybody
say
knows who
whoever
the
it
quarterback's
is.
going to be. Yeah.
Right. No, okay. Yeah. There you go.
But it's interesting, and Pay is 100% correct. Quarterbacks mean the most. With PFF's WAR, wins without replacement, they matter the most. They've weighted every single position, and the quarterback's the guy that makes the most difference on wins and losses. So,
You should.
well, that brings us to the end of discussing the schedule. Is there any last words on the schedule or Jared Goff and all his money? June?
Hey, and
No, I don't have any words, man. I just figure at some point you got to reward your quarterback. I mean, it's. I think the market drove that number up. I think Kirk Cousins' deal had a lot to do with that number. So
Mhm.
it's more to it than just accomplishment. It's what the market asks for. You get a guy like Kirk Cousins that gets $180 million deal with $100 million guaranteed, and you're next up for negotiations and be like, hey, you know, it should
Mhm.
be in the ballpark. And if you're golf in that situation, be like, I achieved this and
He achieved more than Kirk Cousins, and he's younger.
I'm healthy. There's no question about my health. You didn't have to draft a quarterback um, because of me. I haven't missed a game and missed a snap in 3 years.
not a
Not,
game, a snap.
you better knock
Show.
on wood.
Well, yeah,
I'm
of
just
course.
I'm just
Mhm.
saying from a negotiation standpoint, this is probably what he's saying. I don't expect him not to miss a snap. You know, I was expecting at some point he would, miss a game or so last year, but what he's done, phenomenal. He hasn't missed a snap, so that's a bargaining tool. So
Gotcha. Pay, you got any last words on what's happening in Chicago? What's happening in Chicago besides the schedule? Anything?
Other than the schedule drop that's got all of NFL fans buzzing and making plans, and having us sit in waiting rooms waiting to buy tickets for half an hour or longer. The only thing going on in Chicago is discussing the rumors that our ex quarterback may have been a terrible teammate. The Ryan Poles propaganda machine, and why did we draft a 30-year-old punter? We're still bugging on that, but that's it.
Hey, it was the best offensive weapon in Iowa.
He was the best offensive player for a school that could not score 8 points. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yep. Foster, tell us tell the fine people where they can find you and June.
Bleachers to Speakers, Motor City Metrics on all streaming platforms, YouTube, There are only 4 of the top 10 paid quarterbacks that are 500 or above in the playoffs. So that is very important. And there's always options to renegotiate so we can win and have some money. We were never a free agent destination. And, if you want to come here and win, there's always that opportunity. We never were, Pay. I see you. So I'm not worried about free agencies as long as Brad Holmes continues to draft well and wheel and deal. We will be okay. And we're trying to win. We're trying to win right now. So that's all I have to say about it.
Speaking of right now, you started a new podcast over on Fans First Sports Network. What is it?
Yes, it is called The Corner to Copa. The legendary corner of Michigan and Trumbull is where Tiger Stadium was. And we are now at Copa, a.k.a. Comerica Park. And that is where you can find all things Detroit Tigers. That is an official podcast of its own. And Bleachers to Speakers will still have all of the live, as far as the YouTube channel, Bleachers to Speakers, that will still have all the live shows that me and my guy, Coach, hold down.
Outstanding. June, is there anywhere else people can find you?
Pretty much, Foster hit it. Just subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. Subscribe to Motor City Metrics on for your audio feed. On all podcast streaming platforms. That's your Spotify, your Apple Podcast, your iHeartRadio. Just type in Bleachers to Speakers, FFSN in the search. Follow us. Download the episodes. And we drop sporadically now that the season is over, and we're doing a lot of off-season stuff. So we don't have a set schedule, but if you follow us, you'll get the alert whenever we drop.
Outstanding. Pay, where can they find you? You seem to be just about everywhere.
We are. You try to be everywhere. Try to be as accessible as possible. You can find the Bear Claw Podcast anywhere you get your podcast. Or you can also find another FFSN show, Shot City Bulletin, discussing the NBA and the Chicago Bulls. Again, anywhere you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google Music, YouTube Music, and anywhere else, Pandora, Stitcher, we're there. You can also catch us on full episodes on YouTube at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan,
which is a great name. Well, you can find me, Vikings First and SKOL. Everybody watching already knows that because they're here. And we are on all the podcasts. We are also written over at Fans First, and we do have a Facebook page, Vikings First and SKOL. Hard to find, I know. And so you can join us wherever. Find us on Twitter. All that, we're there. Now, what do we say, gentlemen? Pay?
Bear down.
June? Good.
Vicious.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a Bear Claw Podcast. Bleachers to Speakers. Vikings First and SKOL. And of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.